Hey everybody, we are here at McGovern Hyundai of Route 2 in Leominster, Massachusetts. And today's a special treat because we've got 3 of the 6 Ioniq 9 trims right here at our disposal. So we're going to do a little walk around of these 3 cars and just check out a few of the differences. But then what I'm most excited about is we are going to take this SEL up to the summit of Mount Wachusett, which is about 10 to 15 miles away from here. It's about 2,000 feet above sea level, so we're gonna get to test the hill descent control going back down the mountain. So I'm super excited about this one, but let's do the little walk around. So here we have the Ioniq 9 SE all-wheel drive. Here is the SEL all-wheel drive. And down here is the Performance Calligraphy trim. You can see here we have it in beautiful cosmic blue. In terms of interior colors here on the SE, this does come with the cloth interior, which honestly I think looks really nice. Oddly enough, this upper portion of the seats resembles the same fabric I used on the headboard I built for my bed frame about a decade ago, so I might be a little impartial when it comes to this exact type of fabric, but I think it looks really cool. And then besides that gray seat back, everything else on the interior here is going to be black. Here on the SEL, we do have the all black leatherette interior, and here on their Performance Calligraphy, we have the all black interior. So unfortunately, no light colored interior to look at here, but it's nice in its own regard. So in terms of seating position, getting in as you would expect with a SUV of this size is super easy. Just for reference, I am 6'2", so easy for me to just kind of slide in, slide out. And obviously you're gonna have a more upright seating position, so you can see my legs are fairly parallel to the ground. I've already adjusted the seat for me to a pretty comfortable position. You can see my elbows are bent just enough. Here on the SEL trim, you do have manual tilt and telescoping steering wheel. On the Calligraphy trim, that is a electronic adjustment, but right about here feels good, and you got a nice leather wrapped steering wheel. Something I'm not used to versus the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6 is the drive mode selector is nowhere here on the steering wheel. It's actually located on the center console. But the buttons they're using here, the knurled texture is basically the exact same rolling knob as in the 2025 Ioniq 5. Same with the rocker switches. You do have a 10-way power driver's seat here, including 2-way lumbar. Up on the Calligraphy trim, you do get 4-way lumbar. Something that's really nice is even on the passenger seat here, you do also get 2-way lumbar. Just like with the Ioniq 5, you do have the magnetic area to the left of the driver display, so you can use my eyeglass holders to put your sunglasses there if you're not using them. But everything else here feels really familiar to an Ioniq 5 or Ioniq 6. The stocks are very similar. All trims of the Ioniq 9 do come with rain sensing windshield wipers, which is nice. You do have a floor mounted accelerator pedal. Of course, you're gonna have paddle shifters on the back for adjusting your level of regen. Left paddle increases regen, right paddle decreases it. And then if you hold the right paddle, that will put it into auto regen mode. Now, something they did similar to the EV9 is they relocated the start-stop button to the shifting stalk. So now if you want to turn on or off the car, you've got your button right there, and then you can shift immediately into gear. The other switches you have down here are for your charge port door. You press this button twice, it opens up your front trunk, so it's not a lever-actuated front trunk anymore, it's electronically actuated. You can hold this to open the tailgate, traction control, parking brake, and then your screen brightnesses. Unfortunately, here on the SEL, no head-up display, but you do have an auto-dimming rear view mirror with HomeLink buttons. Same 12.3-inch screens you're going to find in the rest of Hyundai's current lineup. And this, of course, is running the CCNC software. If you guys want a full tour of CCNC, I have a video that I will link down in the description. Everything is basically going to be exactly the same as you're seeing right here. Battery conditioning. This is something that I want to bring up specifically because when I interviewed Hyundai's chief product planner for Ioniq, he did tell me that they are utilizing some new battery conditioning technology in the Ioniq 9, which should warm the battery up quicker than in the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6. Now it's almost 70 degrees out, which is perfect charging temperature, but I'm very much looking forward to wintertime and testing the battery conditioning function here in the Ioniq 9. Up above here, you have the exact same overhead area as in the Ioniq 5. Here is your mirror with automatic light. That's nice. You don't have to flip a switch anymore. Unfortunately, you have the pesky IR camera for monitoring your eye movements and making sure you're paying attention, which does give a lot of false positives. There's a video I just did on this topic if you want to check that out. Here on the SEL trim, I'm not sure if you can see it, there's some blue lighting right behind the door handle right here. There's also some along under this screen here. And then, yep, there's also some under here on the passenger side of the car. So this should have a lot of decent interior lighting at night, which will be nice. Of course, being a modern Hyundai, they give you all the buttons you could ever want. So you've got nice big knobs for adjusting your temperature. You can press this to adjust your level of auto. You have ventilated seats, heated seat buttons, right at the ready. You have all your infotainment buttons here, volume knob, tune knob. Because all Ioniq 9s come with tri-zone climate, you can swap this to the rear seats, so you can adjust the temperature back there as well, and then you can swap back to the front. Down here you will find a little shelf for some storage. It's maybe about 6 inches deep. You've got a few USB-C charge ports. These two are very interesting as well because they are 100 watt maximum and they're not run off the 12 volt battery. These are directly connected to the high voltage battery pack. So these will be able to provide full power whether the car is fully powered on or if you're just doing some car camping or something. Really nice to see that. And then you've got a 180 watt 12 volt cigarette style outlet. It looks like down here is a little section where you would put your key fob if the battery in it did die to start the car. We'll talk about the key fob in a minute. And then going down even further, there is another bin down here, which is actually pretty large. You can probably fit a lot of junk in there. I'm not one to keep a bunch of stuff in my car, so I would probably never use that. The front section of the center console is just a big flat piece of plastic, nothing really there. But yeah, let's talk about the key fob real quick. It's the same as the current Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6 and a lot of other Hyundai Kias. The only difference here is that on the side, you have a button that you can hold to open the front trunk. Might not do it if the car's powered on, so we'll have to power it off and do it. Actually, we'll just do it with this button. So you just heard the electric actuator go off. And now that is open, we'll take a look at that when we do the exterior tour. But moving down to the center console here, you do have two surprisingly large cup holders. So you can see here's my normal cup, and it is just free floating in there. So nice to see that. Qi wireless charging pad. Seems to work just fine. You've got your drive mode selector rocker here. So you press that up. You can see here you've got Eco, Normal, Sport, and then you have the custom My Drive mode where you can change various settings to your liking. The 4 pixels across the steering wheel will also change color as you move through those various modes. If you press down on the button, it moves into terrain mode where you have either snow, mud, or sand. So if you do intend on taking this car off-road, you've got some dedicated modes just for that. We'll put it back into normal mode though. There is not a whole lot of gloss black plastic on this interior. So if I could clap right now, I would for you, Hyundai, because I'm so happy to see that. All the blacks in here are a nice matte color, nothing shiny, nothing reflective, other than this little section here around the buttons, which you're not gonna touch very much. And then of course you have the climate controls down below. You've got these really slim little air vents that do allow you to move it all over the place. Pretty steep up and pretty horizontal. I think it'd be pretty easy to find a good position for those. Kind of a weird little storage slot right here. Then you have your glove box, which is interesting because you just pull straight down on it and it pops open. There is a little shelf up here that you could probably put a pair of sunglasses or something. And then down here is the interior of the glove box. It's honestly pretty small. It is fairly deep, but it's really a big reach from the driver's side. But if you have a passenger in the car, they should be able to get in there no problem. Across the dashboard is this silver plastic. And then over here on this inlay on the passenger side, there's this like faux wood looking material. It feels really cheap. I don't know if I'm crazy about the look of it. I'm not sure if they use the same material for the light colored interior, but I don't know. We'll take a look at the material that's used in the calligraphy trim because it's a little bit different. You do have the seat adjustment buttons here on the side of the passenger seat. The leatherette used in here is your typical Hyundai leatherette. It feels nice. Don't know how well it'll hold up. I've seen a lot of photos of people with Ioniq 5s that are 3 years old where the side bolsters are already starting to get all sorts of cracks, so that's not good. I do like the wavy design on the door panels. Everything is nice and soft on the door panels too. The upper is soft, this is soft, the armrest is soft, even down here is soft. That's hard plastic, but all around seems pretty high quality. You've got your headrests that go up and down, but I don't believe they go in and out. And then of course, height adjustable seat belts. Also really nice to see a grab handle here for the driver. I really miss that on my 25 Ioniq 5. I am glad to see that they went with the light colored headliner in here as well. It kind of helps break up the monotonous black interior. Honestly, I could probably live with this black interior just because there is some silver here, and then you've got the light headliner. It doesn't feel as dark and cavernous as my Ioniq 6, where the headliner's black, every single bit is black. Unfortunately, here on the SEL, you cannot move the center console forward and backwards. Another neat little party trick with the center console here, you can open it like you normally would, and you've got a pretty big opening. You've got a tray in here that you can pop in and out. And then once you have that out, it is insanely deep. I got orangutan arms, and you can see it goes down to my elbow, which is pretty wild. And then from the back seat, I will show you, you can actually pull that drawer out. But before we go into the back seat to look at that, you can see that you can also press the button on the back here and open it reverse. So the folks in the second row also have access to it, which is actually really nice, especially if you're a family and you got a bunch of junk in here for your kids to play with or something. Easy access for them. All right, so hopping into the back seat here, you can see soft upper panel here. Armrests are nice and soft. You've got a couple cup holders here on the door panel, which actually do fit pretty decent sized water bottles. So my regular size actually fits here. If you do have like a smaller coffee cup or something, that'll fit back there as well. Then you do have a pretty big pocket down here on the door panel. The SEL does have the stainless steel scuff panels. Actually, I was mistaken. In the SEL, this is not a drawer. It's just a bin. You can kind of reach in and just grab the stuff if it is in the lower section of the armrest. You can see the controls for the third row climate. You do have heated seats here on the rear bench. You can adjust your temperature up and down, or you can just completely turn it off. Another nice touch on the backs of both front seats, 100-watt USB-C ports. This is really a family car, first and foremost, having those. Now, this being the SEL trim, it does not have captain's rows in the second row. You can see it's just a normal bench seat. You got a massive armrest that folds down. The headrests do adjust up and down, and they do slide forward and backward to give your third row passengers more or less space. And I gotta say, the amount of thigh support, pretty good. There's tons of foot space under the front seats. I'll show you guys that right now. So I've got gigantic size 13 feet, and they fit under there, no problem, even with this adjusted for my seating position, so that is very nice. Of course, it being an EV of a fully flat floor, easy to access car seat anchors, so for all you people with young kids, you're gonna really like to see that. And you can see there is also some ambient lighting here in the back seats. See how far the windows go down? All the way. Nice big flat window ledge. Very nice. And you can see here's the air vents for the third row. That's pretty much it for the second row. Let's check out the third row real quick. So to get in, presumably you'll just press this button. That releases it, and you can push it forward. Let's hop in. You can see with its kind of standard position when you pull it back into place, even me being 6'2", plenty of foot space, plenty of knee space. Now, I don't realistically think anybody's gonna sit in the second row with the seat back in this position, but with me in the third row, I do fit. Two more 100-watt USB-C ports, cup holders here, got some speakers here in the third row, and more air vents. And then you do have your own dome light back here. So 3 dome lights throughout the car. Obviously, you can see there's no sunroof back here. And then, of course, up here on the seat, you can move it forward with that button as well. Headroom, pretty good. I've got about a fist. And we'll just put that back. You do have a lever for adjusting the rear seat angle. Getting into the cargo area, you do have a button here right under the Q. Give that a press. You can see you've got a decent amount of cargo space with the third row up. You do have a trunk close button right here. 12 volt, 180 watt. And you do have switches here to release the second row seats. So you can see that just dropped. That's nice. And then obviously you can fold down the third row. Let's put down the right side as well. You can see you've got a ton of cargo space. And it is also very flat. Should have brought my tape measure, but it looks like this might be 4 feet from wheel well to wheel well. You might be able to fit a sheet of plywood in here, but don't quote me on that. The car does come with a bunch of accessories, including the NACS vehicle to load adapter, first aid kit, trunk organizer, and something that's really nice that they're including for the Ioniq 9 is a 240 volt home level 2 charger. So similar to the Tesla mobile connector, you have a NEMA 1450 plug, as well as a NEMA 515 for using your normal household outlet. This is actually a 20 amp plug. So if you want a little bit more juice, you can use this one. And then you do have your cargo privacy cover that you can install there now. Shut the trunk. Got a button there and also a button to lock all the doors. Over here is your charge port door. You do have the NACS port here. You have a button to shut the door, as well as a button for canceling your scheduled charging. This is 11 kilowatts and it is the first Hyundai to have vehicle to home capability built into it from the factory, so expect more on that in the coming months. You can see some of the silver accenting going down the side of the car here. Now, I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head if this SEL has auto folding side mirrors, but let's lock it up and see if they do fold in. Yes, this does have auto folding side view mirrors. So to open up the front trunk, I already released it. If you remember, all you gotta do is just lift up. There's no latch or anything. And then you do have a pretty good size front trunk here. Here is your CCS adapter, as well as the J1772 adapter for level 2 charging. I'm not sure what this big case is for. Let's move that out of the way real quick. Tire mobility kit. And you can see this is a fairly good sized front trunk. It does have a gasket around it, so it does seal with the hood along this surface. And because of its side, it does have to have an emergency release. So if a baby gets locked in here, they're gonna have to figure out how to open this little cover up and then press that button to escape. And then really the only other user accessible fluid under here is washer fluid underneath that cap. This one's for coolant. This one is for Freon, and that one's probably for brake fluid. Let's go ahead and shut this. So approaching the car, the doors should unlock, but I guess I didn't go far enough away. You can see there they are popping out. You can see the front grills down there just shut. Here's where your radar sensor lives, your front forward-facing camera, front parking sensors. And you have your LED accent lighting, but you can see down here are your low beam headlights. So for the high beams, you can see it just illuminates that second vertical row of LEDs. Here are the wheels on the SEL, 275/50 R20s. These are Kumho Krugen EV specific tires, which means they do have the foam adhered to the inside tread. Of course, being an SUV, you are going to have roof rails if you want to put a roof rack on top. I believe the OEM roof rack system for this car is going to be through Thule, which is not going to be cheap, but you get what you pay for. Here in the side mirrors, you can see there's a camera on each one, as well as a little pixel for your turn signal. You guys know how much of a fan I am of the styling of the Ioniq 9. I've been talking about the design for a few years now, since the concept car first came out. Got the wraparound LED tail light. Very unique, very Volvo. So that about does it for the SEL. They're actually going to take this one back into the showroom because they had already washed it, so they want to get it back in so it doesn't get covered in pollen. So here on the SE trim, you do have 255/60 R19 tires. These are the same Kumho Krugen EV. It's pretty basic wheel design, nothing fancy or too crazy going on here. I definitely think I prefer the SEL wheels, but on the SE here, you don't have any side cameras. This SE is in Cyber Gray, which is a, I believe, $600 option, $500 option. But interior quality wise, this is hard plastic versus the SEL. This is still soft, this is soft, so really not too much different. And this one does have the Hyundai all-weather floor mats installed in it. They've kind of moved on to a pixelized pattern, which looks pretty good. 10-way power driver seat. again with that fabric we already discussed. Also a 10-way power passenger seat, so that's not exclusive to the SEL. Here on the SE, you do not get the surround view camera system as previously mentioned. It's only the backup camera. No pixels on the steering wheel. The SE does not have ventilated seats, so you just have heated seats. And I don't think you have a heated steering wheel. I gotta jump back in the SEL and take a look at that. Okay, yep, here on the SEL, you do have a 2-stage heated steering wheel. I like that little animation it does too when you press it. Little blue on the outside, that's kind of cool. Something else I really love, the doors come all the way down past the rocker panels, and there is actually a gasket on the bottom, so you're not gonna get any water crap up here that's gonna get on your pant legs as you get in and out. No ambient lighting here on the door panels. Ooh, I actually think I prefer this material here on the SE versus what's on the SEL. I think this looks better in my opinion. Again, here on the SE, you do have a bench seat in the back. Same door panel materials here as the SEL. Soft touch, cup holders, tri-zone climate in the back, 100-watt USB-Cs, obviously air vents, dome lights. Really not too much difference in the second row versus the SEL, which is good. Oh, and I just noticed this now, the armrest here is actually ratcheting. That's really nice too. More 100-watt USB-Cs in the back. Very nice. There's like this weird cubby hole thing in the D-pillar here. Could use it for storage. Maybe I'll find a way to put the adapters in there. That might be a good spot for them. Another thing that's really nice about the third row in this car is you've got pretty good sized third row windows. They're not as big as the ones in the EV9, but they're still pretty big. You're not gonna get too claustrophobic here in the third row. Here's that cargo organizer I previously mentioned. You can see under the trunk floor is where you can store your privacy cover for the trunk if you don't want it in place so that you can have the third row up. But other than that, there's a little bit of storage. Nothing too much though. Because you need a beefier USB-C cable to realize that full 100 watts, they actually give you one with the car. You can see just how chunky that cable is. That's really nice of them. That's pretty much it for the SE. Let's take a look at the calligraphy now. Other than the calligraphy design, the top trim of the Ioniq 9, you can see you do have a little bit different of a inlay here on the door panel versus the SEL. This is kind of ribbed, where this is kind of punched, perforated. You do have 4-way lumbar here on the calligraphy, memory seats, massage seats, sunshades for the second row passengers. You can see we do have captain's chairs in the second row, and second row passengers also have ventilated seats. Super nice. Ratcheting armrests. Having this opening in the middle is going to make getting into the third row super easy. You do have the panoramic glass roof, which does open. I will say though, this suede headliner actually looks kind of bad. You can see it shows wherever it's touched. And I'm assuming this is from transport, from the factory. All sorts of hands have touched it, and it looks kind of crummy in my opinion, actually. I don't know how you kind of align all the fibers to point in one direction, but that is something I would definitely be wanting to do. You do have really nice headrests here in the second row, much better than in the SEL. They kind of wrap around your head from side to side. Very nice. Here are the seat pockets. They are kind of a hard material as opposed to the netting that we see on a lot of other Hyundai Kias. Back seat's not all that much different than the other trims, other than the fact that here you can adjust the recline electrically for the third row. That's a nice touch. Oh no, the child door locks are on. Crap. Oh, I hate that. You can see you do have the Bose branded stereo here, some kind of transparent door panel material similar to the Ioniq 6. And then third, but certainly not least, here is the inlay on the calligraphy. It kind of looks like aluminum foil. If you've ever seen like a Wrigley bubblegum wrapper and kind of attached it to something as kind of a finish, that's basically what this looks like. In terms of the 3 inlays here on the Ioniq 9, I think I like the SE the most, then the calligraphy, then the SEL. And I'm a wood guy. I like wood trim in cars. So for me to say that, I really kind of have to really dislike the fake wood on the SEL. Here in the calligraphy, you do have active noise cancellation. So there's microphones throughout the car to pick up all those various sounds throughout the cabin so that the sound system can cancel them out. So here in settings under lighting, you can see lighting patterns. This is where you would be able to go into the Hyundai store and kind of purchase those fancy patterns that it can display. That would all be done through the My Hyundai app. You do have the digital rear view mirror, and you do have a fingerprint scanner here that you can use for logging into the car to adjust your settings to whoever's going to be driving it. The driver's seat is actually feeling kind of weird. It must be related to the massage motor. There's really like a hump here in the back of the driver's seat that feels really uncomfortable for me. Honestly, it would drive me kind of crazy. So I think just for that reason alone, I would not go with the upper trim with the massage seats. I would really like the massage feature, but to give up seat comfort just to have it doesn't really make much sense to me. But let's get out. I'll show you the exterior real quick, and then we will go for a test drive. Very interesting that here on the calligraphy, they've gone with the Hankook Ion Evo AS EV tires that have the sound deadening material in them as well. These are 285/45 R21s. Very large wheels and tires, but I do like the design on these. Another cool touch that Hyundai did here is they put the rear-facing Hyundai logo kind of sandblasted into the glass of the trunk, so it's not really sticking out too much. And then you do have the Ioniq 9 badging across the entire rear of the hatch. You do have electric actuation for folding down both the second and third row. And then you do have a vehicle to load outlet here in the trunk. Tucked up under the spoiler is the rear windshield wiper. There you can see it in action. So that's our little tour of the SE, SEL, and the calligraphy trim. So now we're gonna go ahead and take the SE here out for a test drive. I am super excited, so let's head out. All right, guys, so we are gonna head out to the summit of Mount Wachusett. It's 38 minutes away, 13 miles, so it's gonna be fairly slow going. But we are going to check out what our efficiency looks like on this kind of mixed route. We're gonna test the hill descent control, which should be kind of cool. Cameras are rolling. Let's head out for the first drive in the Ioniq 9. So first off, this thing feels huge. Wow, this is a big vehicle. Honestly, it feels bigger than the EV9. Punch it. Okay, respectable power. It's not too crazy. Regen feels fairly strong. It's got more than enough power for everyday driving. Pretty quiet. It's definitely not Ioniq 6 quiet, but it's pretty quiet. The side view mirrors are a very odd shape, so something you would definitely have to get used to. They kind of taper out towards the road, which is kind of weird. So we've got 4 miles here on the highway. A lot of wind noise. Let's turn on lane centering, see how that does, but yeah, there's a lot of wind noise coming from the A-pillar area. And I forgot to check. I'm sure all the windows are double laminated, but let's activate highway drive assist. Everything feels really familiar to the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6 because all the buttons match now. No more flipped controls versus the old Ioniq 5. Now that we're down to like 54 miles per hour, the wind noise definitely dropped off quite a bit, but still kind of evident. I do like that you have the little cornering windows. Those make visibility out of this A-pillar much easier. Foot space, pretty good. You got a nice big flat dead pedal for your left foot. Very comfortable, smooth suspension. Really soaks up the bumps. HDA, doing its thing. No warnings from the eye tracking system yet. This is all-wheel drive, so whenever you're on the highway, you are going to want to put it into eco mode to make sure it disconnects that front motor as much as possible for best efficiency. But right now we're at 67% state of charge. It's estimating 193 miles of range. That sounds about right. It does only have 39 miles on it though, so it doesn't have a whole lot of data that it's going off of. But we're going to be getting off this exit here to go to Wachusett. Give the windshield a wash here. It's a little dirty. Oh, that's better. So you got some potholes there. Hardly even felt them. Oh, this is a great road for testing this out on. Bring our regen down to level 1. So let's see, is this like the new Ioniq 5 where it shows you the brake lights? Yes, it does. So in level 1 regen, when you let fully off the accelerator pedal, does not illuminate the brake lights, just like the new Ioniq 5. I've been meaning to make a video about that. They have improved the brake light actuation for 2025. It remains pretty flat, even with aggressive steering input. You can hear the adapter rattling around in the glove box. You can definitely feel the elevation gain now. I'm sure our efficiency is dropping like a rock. So after almost 10 miles, we're at 2 miles per kilowatt hour, which would give you about 220 miles of range. Going by the 110 kilowatt hour battery pack, I can feel my ears starting to pop. This mountain is just over 2,000 feet of elevation, I believe, when I looked last night. Guess we gotta pay to go up the mountain. All right, so reaching out of this gigantic car, it's a little difficult. All right, let's head up the mountain. So this should be a little fun drive. 20 mile per hour speed limit, so we'll take it slow. So we're not going to need any regen going up, so I'm going to turn that off and let's put it into eco mode since we're not going too quick. So at these lower speeds, the car interior is quite quiet. Very comfortable though. Seating position is great. Armrest, pretty good. For me personally, I would like the armrest to be slightly higher, but I understand they have to meet criteria to satisfy most average people, which I'm definitely not in terms of size. So I understand that, but I do wish they were a little bit higher. Maybe if I adjust the steering wheel down a little bit. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So we want to go to the summit. So our efficiency is now down to 1.8 miles per kilowatt hour, but we're going to regain a lot coming back down this huge mountain. Here we go. Now we're hitting some really steep part. Oh, wow. Okay. The hood on this car is very long, so trying to figure out where to stop can be a little bit difficult without those parking sensors. But yeah, that was a nice little trip up to the summit. I'm going to use the porta potties here and go check out the view from up top, and then we'll get back in the car and head back down the mountain and see what our efficiency ends up being. So on that little drive, 12.5 miles, 22 minutes, our average efficiency was 1.7 miles per kilowatt hour. Wow, pretty low. So anyway, let's go check out the summit and we'll come back. All right, so I just checked out the view up here at the top of the mountain. Beautiful. Little hazy today, so not great visibility, but let's head back down the mountain, head back to McGovern Hyundai. So we're gonna be going down a pretty steep section here. So let's try out this hill descent control. Just press the button and it says downhill brake control. I guess that's what they call it. So it seems like what it's doing is just kind of applying the brakes a little bit and then letting off of them. You can't use your paddle switches when you're doing so. You can use the accelerator pedal, so if you do go up a little bit. So we just pushed it up to 20 miles per hour to maintain the speed limit, and it's maintaining it going down the hill. So that's kind of neat. It's not exactly cruise control. It might slow down here in this flat section. Okay, it is slowing down a bit. So let's kick it back up a few miles per hour. Let off the accelerator pedal. Yeah, it's more or less maintaining constant speed down the mountain. Pretty nifty. currently averaging 14.8 miles per kilowatt hour. That's pretty good. We got a little vista right here. Yeah, this looks like a nice spot for a photo op. I think that might be the thumbnail picture. So let's keep going. At this point, we can probably disable hill descent. So anyway, that was a fun little jaunt. Going down this road, though, we're going to just use our paddle shifters to regain some energy. Right now, we're showing 999 miles per kilowatt hour. I don't think we've used any energy since we left that parking lot, which is pretty cool. So I think our average efficiency since this car was charged yesterday is going to go up drastically. We're currently at 2.2 miles per kilowatt hour over 30 miles. But yeah, my only other real comparison to this car that I've personally driven would be the Kia EV9. This car does drive bigger than the EV9 to me. The EV9 does feel smaller, I think. I mean, it is smaller, but it just overall feels smaller as well. The rear-wheel drive here is rated to tow 3,500 pounds, and this all-wheel drive is rated for, I believe, 5,000 pounds. So fairly healthy numbers compared to the Ioniq 5. But as you would expect from a family SUV, the steering is pretty numb. You're not really feeling the road through the steering wheel. I don't think they're ever going to come out with a N version of the Ioniq 9. That would be kind of ridiculous. But Kia is putting out a GT version of the EV9, so maybe they will, but I have my doubts. I really can't picture somebody ripping this car around a track, but people do crazier things. But boy, if you need a 3-row SUV for you and your family, maybe to tow a small camper trailer, a pop-up or something, I mean, this is a great option. You've got that big 110 kilowatt hour battery pack, charging from 10 to 80% in 24 minutes. Pretty darn good considering the size of that battery pack. It's only 4 minutes longer than the Ioniq 5, which has a battery pack that's only 84 kilowatt hours. As usual, I have to specify that is in ideal conditions. So if you've got a cold battery pack in the middle of winter, you are not going to do it in 24 minutes. Even if you take this thing to a Tesla supercharger, it's still going to do 10 to 80% in 40 minutes, which is pretty good considering it's only charging at about 130 kilowatts. But it holds 130 kilowatts for almost that entire charging session, so that makes a huge difference in terms of keeping a decent charging speed. We're still kind of coming down the mountain. Our efficiency is now up to 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour, but we're about to get back onto Route 2, and then it will be mostly highway back to the dealership. Let's take this turn a little hard. Oh, my stuff went flying. That's not cool. Let's put her in sport mode just for ha-has. And we'll put lane centering back on, go back into Eco, and we'll engage highway drive assist here at 63 miles per hour. I don't know if it's just because HDA isn't like fully calibrated yet with this car. It is kind of wonky though. It's a little all over the place right now. I did forget to mention, this battery pack is now made in the United States. It's not being imported from Hungary like the first 2025 Ioniq 5s, including mine, were. So this is good to go for the full $7,500 tax credit, at least through the end of this year, because the new government has decided to eliminate all EV subsidies in the United States. So you're not going to be able to collect it on a lease. You're not going to be able to collect it on a financed vehicle or if you pay cash. So these cars are about to get way more expensive. I did hear from this dealership that their regional manager said that prices are going to be going up at the beginning of June. Hyundai did kind of put a moratorium on raising prices for the past few months since tariffs were announced, but now it sounds like they're going to be going up. So this car is probably going to get more expensive, but all cars are going to get more expensive across the board. So It's kind of going to be a fairly even playing field. Kia's going to suffer the same fate as Hyundai. I, however, am likely going to try and get another car before year out. This way I can secure a cheap lease for another few years. I might even do a 3-year lease instead of a 2-year lease. This way I can extend that savings out for a longer period of time. The Ioniq 9 is probably top of the list. I've driven the Ioniq 5, I've driven the Ioniq 6. It just makes sense that I would spend some time with the Ioniq 9. Plus, me and my fiance may be starting a family in the next couple of years, so why not get the bigger vehicle now and save a few bucks on it? I don't think the refreshed Ioniq 6 will be out before the end of the year, but I could be wrong. That would be out probably the very end of the year. But my lease on my current Ioniq 6 isn't up until April of next year. Maybe I'll turn that in early if I do get a new car at the end of this year. But I've got some options, and I'm going to have to make a decision relatively soon because it's already just about June, and the end of the year will be here in 7 months. So HDA is taking this corner pretty well. Big, long, sweeping curve. Yeah, not too bad. What is our efficiency up to? 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour. That's honestly better than I thought it would be. But I did just hear from Hyundai PR that the Ioniq 9 is now in the press fleet in the area, so I'm going to try and schedule a week with the Ioniq 9 for further testing. We'll do some charging, we'll do some long driving to figure out what efficiency really looks like, and then you guys will get my full in-depth review on the Ioniq 9. So make sure you're subscribed for that. All right, so 40 miles, 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour. Let's do some math here with Hyundai's new AI voice assistant. Or we can ask Siri. What is 2.7 times 110?
2.7 times 110 is 297.
So at 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour, that would be your range. 297 miles. I'd say that's fairly in range of what I would expect for this car at highway speeds. It is rated for, I believe, 320. I'll put it on screen right now, but I'm pretty sure it's 320. But that's in EPA mixed driving. So that is going to be more representative of around town mixed with highway driving. I forget what the percentage mix is, but I'll be really interested to see when I get this thing out on the highway at a steady 70, 75 miles per hour, what this thing is capable of doing. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this first drive of the Ioniq 9 with me. Again, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for all sorts of Ioniq 9, Ioniq 5, and Ioniq 6 coverage. Check out my store at ioniqguy.com for accessories for your Hyundai, Kia, or Genesis EV. If you're in the area of Fitchburg, Leominster, check out McGovern Hyundai. They've got a huge selection of vehicles, including this Ioniq 9 SE. This is available to purchase right now. They've got more coming in. If you need service, they've got a massive service center here, so shouldn't be too difficult to get an appointment. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.